Hello viewers and welcome to my new video. In today's video I'm gonna be talking about Spotify and royalties. So we are in 2024 now and it has happened, it started. Spotify now is enacting the new policy that I talked about in one of my previous videos, and effectively what this means is that around 50%, or some people even claim maybe even 2/3 of artists who are on Spotify are not going to receive any royalty payments whatsoever for streaming. Okay, so this is a pretty staggering information, and it's effectively this kind of a battle, or this kind of a world in which we see the big giants, the big corporations sort of taking over and dictating basically to smaller players such as independent DIY artists, or perhaps smaller record labels and things like that. Because ultimately, if you upload your music, you've produced your music, you've written your music, you've got it out there, you obviously have to pay to your distributor to then put those songs onto Spotify. So you basically invest your money into this, and then under the current rules, if you don't get at least 1,000 streams in a year per song, that song is not going to generate you any royalties. That is, the song is actually generating the royalties, but those royalties are going to be distributed to the biggest record companies basically, rather than you, so to the big artists. So they're gonna still have the pie of money, but instead of splitting it fairly, as in paying every artist who whatever they've been, sort of however many times they've been streamed, if you don't reach that threshold, you're not gonna get anything whatsoever. So effectively, that's why I'm saying this, because that's what I think is happening here. Is effectively those big players sitting around the table agreeing with each other, okay, this is how we're gonna split the pie, and all these small artists, the smaller players, at this moment in time, that's my understanding, that we don't necessarily have any say in the matter. So, which is really staggering, to be honest with you. For me personally, it is very surprising that there isn't anything in the law, sort of written in the law, that as a song creator, as a song owner, as a rights holder, you are not going to get the royalties that you are entitled to. Because if your music is obviously streamed, that means that is being basically reproduced and so on and so forth. So that is really, really something that is, one, very disappointing, and two, quite concerning, I would say. But the big question here, from my perspective, and this is what I'm going to pose to you as well, is what should we do? So for example, people like myself, other people, smaller artists, independent artists, I think we have two options under this new scheme. Option number one is effectively to do anything in our power to generate that kind of interest, so that we get at least 1,000 streams against each song that we sort of publish onto Spotify, and that way we always going to be getting paid what we are owed. Now that's fine, that's one way of doing it, and obviously we all should be aiming at the most amount of streams, as many streams as possible. Now the issue with that is obviously the actual amount per stream that you get. So in order to sort of be able to sustain yourself, support yourself financially through those types of means, you would have to go into probably millions of streams before we're talking about anything that is actually sustainable in a long run. Okay, so that's one. But again, you could be thinking to yourself, okay, I want to keep my songs on Spotify and all these other streaming platforms because that could be a way for people to discover my music ultimately, because Spotify is the largest streaming platform at the moment in the world. And obviously, if your music is there, then maybe, you know, there's a chance that you will get, so someone will discover you. Maybe you will be able to get onto a playlist and people will discover your music through that. The other approach that we could take, or depending on what you would like to do, is of course to take your songs down. You know, take them down from Spotify. Do not upload any new songs to Spotify, and instead focus on other platforms, because, you know, perhaps there's a better chance that you will actually get all your royalties that you are due, rather than only if you hit a certain number of streams. Perhaps that shift will happen. I don't know. I'm personally, you know, I still remain on Bandcamp, for example, and I, you know, something that maybe I need to still explore is SoundCloud, which I haven't done fully. I used to be on SoundCloud with some of my other music in the past, but there's some maybe other ways to build your audience and to build your listenership rather than just through Spotify. And I also believe that there might be some either new players or some existing players actually creating some level of competition this year, and we will see about that. One of them might be actually TikTok, and that's something that I also want to cover in one of my other videos, so keep your eyes open. And please let me know in the comments what you think. Are you going to keep your songs on Spotify in 2024? Are you going to increase your sort of strategies and ways to try and generate more streams? Is that how you're going to play the game? Or are you going to remove your songs and actually try and concentrate on other platforms and other places where people can listen to your music, or perhaps even downloads and pay for those downloads? Please let me know in the comments, and I will see you in my next video.